We're nearly at the end of this video, but before we go, we've got some time to show you some photographs of the TARDIS set, built by Tiger Films for the New Zealand Superannuation Service's set of commercials. Photos taken by club members Darryl and Edwin Patterson. Next up, we have the One Network news item about the filming of the commercials, followed by the Leighton Smith radio interview with Tom Baker, taken from News Talk ZB.
An unforgettable theme and an unforgettable face. Tom Baker as Doctor Who, time-travelling in the TARDIS.
Well, let me tell you something.
Now the Time Lord has travelled back to his old role in New Zealand. He's starring in a commercial. The hair is white, but the manner is the same.
I don't mind people remembering me like that. It was the nicest job I ever had, really. In fact, I think it was the only success I've ever had. I've been a very successful failure.
For 7 years, he travelled with various companions and a mechanical best friend.
I remain.
Always fighting the evils of the universe.
Answer. Answer.
I was enchanted by them all, you see, because I used to beat them all.
The series started in 1963 and has evolved through 7 doctors. But for many, Tom Baker is the Doctor, and his role here has given him a taste for the past.
I'm quite shameless and capable of deceiving myself that I could be a hero again.
The producers won't say what all this is intended to advertise. All they will say is that it's on air in 2 weeks. So you'll just have to wait, unless, of course, you've got a way of getting into the future. Simon Shepherd, One Network News.
I'm just trying to work out how long it is since I saw Doctor Who and how long it is since I saw Tom Baker on television in Doctor Who. And it has been some little time, but with great pleasure I say good morning.
Hiya, hiya.
And we're in the middle of a chat, actually, when the commercial stopped. Let's pick it up. You were just telling me about how you're out in the harbour yesterday on some mansion on floats.
Well, yes, I was just having a good time, and I'm very interested in pleasure and bliss and being in heaven. I've always wanted to go to heaven or something like that. And in the last few days, around here, around this harbour, and meeting New Zealand people, it's felt like heaven, simply because, you know, it's the first time in my life I've been embraced and cosseted. Obviously, of course, there's something about a young country. They quite like antiques or something, but people really have responded to me, you know, as if I was quite a rare antique. So people,
well, you are, it's true.
Well, I am an antique, but I don't know that I'm that rare.
Yes, he said he's really not looking forward to going home tomorrow. He'd like to stay. And I said, why don't you? He said, well, I miss the squalor of London. And I thought that rather described it aptly.
Yes, I think so, but I do have some work to do there.
It's winter, you know.
I know.
It's freezing.
I know. It's absolutely appalling there. I mean, even my cats won't go out. But I've got to go back. You know, that's where I come from. And
how many cats have you got?
9, yeah.
Why do you have 9 cats?
Well, because, you know, I don't have any friends. Of course, I'm a real actor. I don't have any friends. But so I have a lot of cats and a wife.
You must be very insecure to have 9 cats to be your friends. I would have thought that 2 would have...
No. They're very reassuring. They're Burmese cats, you know, so they're very flattering cats. They're not these kind of... English silver tabbies, which are more aloof. These are very reassuring ones, yes. I mean, people actually have pets to, you know, to love, and also they're reassured by their pets. The uncritical adulation of a pet is a universal kind of weakness.
Have you got a TARDIS in your living room?
No, I have a TARDIS in my head, so that sometimes when I'm out of work or I'm not feeling particularly, you know, like enjoying life, you know, I slip away into my imagination to the days when I used to be able to run upstairs or turn my arm over at cricket or swim 4 lengths of a bath. It's all those things. The thing is about having been a fiction, you know, of course, you know, I'm a professional fiction. I'm a professional charlatan. That's my business. But having been once a very successful children's hero, it's been the great comfort.
It wasn't just a children's hero.
Well, the children, you mean the children are middle-aged now, but they were once children.
Well, when was it?
It was 72 to 80 or something. It's 17 years since I finished. And yesterday or the day before, I happened to meet 150 New Zealand fans in some suburb in a little church hall there. It was incredible that, how they rolled back the time, you know, and knew more about my fictional past than I did. And they were so amusing and kind and excited, really.
See, I'd reached adulthood when you were doing that, and I was wrapped in Doctor Who. I used to love watching Doctor Who.
Yes.
And you were the best Doctor Who, by far.
Well, I don't know. I was the longest, and I did the most, and I think I probably did more research than the others. I went out, among the children all the time, looking for ideas, because, I don't have any ideas of my own, so I'll go anywhere and steal them. And so I used to really go around the schools and the libraries and hospitals and talk to children about it. And if they gave me an idea, then I would, use it shamelessly without ever giving them the credit.
So how long did it run for? You?
I ran for, I think they ran mine for 8 years, but it's been picked up by Rupert Murdoch's Sky or something like that. So it's run, there's a new generation now watching it because they run it every night or something like that.
But I would want a replica of the TARDIS in my living room or somewhere, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think that's a very good idea, really. Maybe I should have one in my garden outside. When I was in Manchester a few months ago, where I work quite often, it's a wonderful city, although in the winter rather sad. And I'd be walking up the streets, and someone was, 25-year-old boy. Aren't beggars boring when they have this dreary old chat? That beggars really have bad script writers. And in UK, they say, have you got any small change? And the first time it's heartbreaking, and then within half an hour, you're absolutely inured to it. And the fellow says, have you got any small change? So I said, sure, yeah. And I reach in my pocket to give him a 50 pence or something like that. And they say, guys, Doctor Who. I said, yeah, you've got a good memory. He said, Doctor Who? I said, yeah, have 50 pence. Have a pound. The fellow said, no, he said, I don't want them. He said, listen, can't you get us out of here? I said, how do you mean? He said, well, what about the bloody TARDIS of yours? I mean, can't you get us all out of here? And I had this fantasy. It was said to me on, many occasions. It's spontaneous. It was deeply, deeply moving and disturbing because at 25, children who had watched me at 11 in the security and home sitting on a sofa full of hopes and fish fingers and secure in the love of their mothers now, 15 years on, standing on corners begging, and then they ask that old hero if he can't take them away out of it. I had the fantasy, actually, of the TARDIS in St. Peter's Square materializing and all the homeless young people piling into it. I'd take them somewhere nice. And then the next day, the press, you fellas in the press would be saying, all our homeless have disappeared. Who stole them?
Well, this is the one serious question I'm now about to deliver. Do you think that all these people, all these kids, 11-year-olds, secure in their home and with their mother's love, as you put it, you might have helped end up where they are because they were glued to the television instead of getting out and studying?
No, I don't think that at all. That's a typical provocative journalist kind of remark. No,
not from me.
No,
but
I mean, the sadness of the sadness is that quite a lot of the people who asked me this question actually studied and got double firsts in wisdom at Cambridge and there's still no place to use their wisdom, so they're still jerked onto the streets. They work too hard. And still we can't offer them
Or they
a
became
life.
qualified in something that was useless.
Well, that society considers to be useless. That's right.
Yeah.
If you, that's right.
Were the locks, or back then, were they yours? or was it?
Yeah, it was all me, yes. It was all me. That's right.
Because you know what it's like, and you're probably used to this, but he walked in here and the hair is much shorter, there's no locks, and I thought, hang on, where's Tom Baker?
That's right, yeah. Well, that's right. I remember when I finished it in 1980, I was very, very famous in 68 countries. I'm a big star in Abu Dhabi, for example, and I've never known how to turn that to my advantage. But I walked in very famous into a barber's shop in the King's Road, had my hair cut and came out and was completely unknown. I stepped absolutely into oblivion just by cutting my hair.
Anonymity.
Anonymity.
It was a great trademark, though, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
And it was yours.
Yes, it was all mine.
Do you ever stop to think, because I know that things were different back 17 years ago in the English media, and things have changed dramatically, and there's now far more reward, and if you were now successful, if you were now doing Doctor Who to the success that you were then, it would be on primetime American television, and you would be paid mega millions.
I would, yeah.
Ever frustrate you?
Well, no, I don't really, because, I mean, that would be, that would be to fill me with regrets. No, I think whatever has happened to me, fate has kind of allowed it for dark, comical reasons of its own, because, I've never had a strategy. And even Doctor Who, which was really my only huge success in my career, was, you know, just a little happy accident that grew and grew like Topsy. I mean, I had no strategy about that. I've never had, because, I mean, I'm just an entertainer. And, I mean, I came down here to do some commercials down here. But, you know, it wasn't just that I was willing to do some commercials. I wanted a little adventure, and I had a little spare time. And so I flew down here. It's, you know...
Have you tried bungee jumping, speaking of adventure?
No, I wouldn't try that at all. I really do think that would be going a bit far, wouldn't it? I mean, it's...
Don't try it in New Orleans.
I'm not try it anywhere.
Well, you know the Super Bowl's just been on. Maybe you didn't know.
Actually,
but they had this, I think they spent about $1.5 million on the halftime entertainment for the Super Bowl. And in the practice, a woman got killed practicing a bungee jump. So I read it and I thought, well, there's another good reason why I'd never do it.
But isn't that must be actually in the minds of people who are watching bungee jumpers, must it? That maybe it will go wrong.
Oh, heavens. Oh, you mean that they're getting some thrills?
Well, I would hope so. I mean, I often think that actually in a half-time it would be quite nice to, you know... I went the other day to a kind of shark place up the road. I think it's called Kelly Tarleton's a lovely name, isn't it? Kelly Tarleton, the famous 19th century...
You must have been impressed with that.
Well, I was, yes, but I kept thinking when I saw those little sharks there, it'd be quite nice to pass the time. You get bored after a while. It'd be quite nice, for example, in the midday, if you threw muggers to sharks. That would really rev it up and give people something to watch. I would have thought that would be quite nice and a good way of disposing of muggers.
Gang members as well, yes.
Well, yes, anyone that makes life intolerable for the most of us. Yes, it'd be quite nice to throw them to sharks.
What are you going back to do?
I'm going back to present a series of programs for BBC Radio on science. Science now that appeared to be fantasy, you know, fantastical a few years ago and is now a fact. And I don't really know much about it.
Oh, wrong question.
Because, you know, I'm just a presenter, so I don't need to understand it. All I'm required to do is to give the impression that I understand it.
But anybody who could fly the TARDIS must be able to understand a bit of basic science.
No, I don't agree. No, you're making these terrible assumptions. No, not at all. No, I knew nothing at all. Anyway, the point is about the joke about the TARDIS, like the joke about government, is, you know, they're pressing buttons and looking for the correlatives or whatever it is. They don't know where, you know, and it goes woo, 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 and they open the door and they don't know where they are. They pretend they know where they are. But the joke about the TARDIS was that we never knew where we are. Where we landed up was because the navigation aids didn't work. Like life, really.
And here you are in New Zealand as a result. Speaking of life, mine is now complete. I can die happy. I've met Tom Baker. Thanks for your time. Sorry, you've got to go home tomorrow.
Pleasure.